Today we discuss some tips and tricks for mid-game in 7 Days to Die. Now we've got a lot of info to cover and no time to waste, so let's get to it. Tip number 1, plan your day. Time management is extremely important in 7 Days to Die. As such, it is always important to plan out what you're going to do for the day. I would recommend dedicating the day to only 1 or 2 basic tasks. Is today going to be a looting day? Do you want to spend the day doing quests for the trader? Is today a mining day? Or perhaps you need to break down some items to get some salvageable resources? Or is today a building day? It is always best to plan out your day before you get started. That way you can use your time wisely. Tip number 2, get organized. Once again, time management is huge, so it is very important to organize your home base. Craft yourself up a whole bunch of writable storage boxes, slap them down, and then label the contents of that box. Then go through and separate your items into their various categories. It may seem tedious, but it will save you a lot of time in the future. Tip number 3 is quality of life perks. By the midpoint of the game, you've already got a pretty good start on your primary attribute. You have your build in mind and you are well on your way at completing your character build. Now is the time that you can start expanding your perk selections. Instead of focusing so heavily on your primary attribute, you can start expanding into other attributes that will help your quality of life in 7 Days to Die. For instance, you might be at the point in the game where you are going to start your garden. In that case, it would be great to throw at least 1 point into living off the land. Or you could start throwing points into daring adventurer to increase your quest rewards from the trader. This is the point of the game where you can start expanding your build a little bit. You've got your solid foundation already built. Now you can start adding in things that are not necessarily crucial to your survival, but will make surviving in 7 Days to Die a lot easier. So once you reach the midpoint of 7 Days to Die, start expanding into some quality of life perks. Tip number 4 is steal. At the midpoint of the game is where you really want to focus on trying to upgrade your bases to steal, especially your horde base, because your hordes are going to start getting more and more difficult. So you're going to want your horde base to be as strong as possible. Now, I would recommend trying to get to steal as soon as possible. However, for most players, it can be difficult getting your base upgraded to steal before the midpoint of the game. But once you reach that midpoint, you should definitely focus on upgrading your horde base and your home base to steal as soon as possible. Now, if you're finding these tips helpful and or enjoyable, be sure to click that little red button and subscribe to the channel. You will find a whole host of tutorial videos covering a wide range of topics. But now on to the next tip. Now, in order to craft up some steel, you are going to need a couple of things. So this leads me to tip number 5, better barter 3. By the midpoint of the game, I would highly recommend bumping up your better barter to at least level 3. That is because at better barter 3, no matter what your game stage or level is at, you'll start to find better items in the trader's inventory. Now, since we're looking to make some steel, there's going to be 2 items that you should really be on the lookout for. So now that we have better barter up to level 3, let's go ahead and talk to Bob here, and we'll take a look at his inventory. The first thing we're going to be on the lookout for is right there. He has a level 2 auger for sale for only 4,300 dukes. You definitely want to get your hands on an auger. And the next item you want to be on the lookout for is a crucible. Now, crucibles can be extremely difficult to find. However, if you unlock better barter level 3, you have a much better chance of finding a crucible in your trader's inventory. So get yourself up to better barter 3. That way you can find your auger and crucible. Tip number 6 is strip mining. Once you reach the midpoint of the game, you are going to want to ramp up your resource gathering. And one of my favorite things to do is strip mining. So what you'll want to do is come out to the desert and find yourself one of these guys. These guys are littered all over the place. These strange rock formations that jut straight up into the air are perfect for what we're looking for. Once you found yourself a great rock formation like this, what you're gonna do is come to the base of it, walk up as high as you can until you get to the shearer part, something like right about here would work, and then start tunneling straight forward. Now, if you take a look at your map and you zoom in all the way, you can actually see the structure that we are actually digging into. You want to dig until you get to about the center point of the structure. So now that we've reached our center point, we're going to start digging up. And you'll notice I've got some wood frame blocks put in here. This is going to be used to create a ladder system to get to the top. So all you'll want to do is upgrade as you go and then place down your ladders. Now you'll want to start your ladders 2 blocks up. That way you can jump up and the zombies can't, and keep building. So now we have something like this. Now this is going to take you a few days probably to get all the way to the top. So you don't have to do this all in one go, but your goal is to eventually make a tower all the way to the top. So now we can head on up, and here we are here at the top of the structure. Now, all you have to do is start removing this area 1 layer at a time. You'll get a whole bunch of resources, and you'll never have to worry about dealing with the zombie jerks. They will leave you alone. Plus, you will find a lot of ore nodes in this giant structure as well. So whip out your auger and get to digging. Now, this rock formation will last you for a very long time. You're not going to get this done in a day. It's going to last you for weeks. You'll be pulling resources out of this bad boy for a very long time. And once you're done mining for the day, head back to your tower, get back down to ground level, and head on out on your merry business. Strip mining is awesome. Not only can you gather all the resources that you need, but you don't have to deal with those pesky zombie jerks, and you don't have to deal with mine collapses. Since you're going to be working from the top down, there's going to be nothing above you to collapse. And here we are back on ground level. Now, one thing I would recommend that you do once you get inside, plug up your hole here, just drop in a couple of frames. That way, if there are any zombie jerks stumbling around the area, they will not enter your tunnel. Strip mining is an extremely effective way of gathering resources in 7 days to die. Tip number 7 is don't rush quest tiers. Once you've completed 10 trader quests, you will unlock the next tier of quests. You will also be offered a special job that will open up a trade route to another trader. However, you do not need to complete that special job in order to open up the next tier level of quests. Once this trader's quest reset, you will automatically be bumped up to the next tier. So you want to be very careful when taking trader quests. You want to pace yourself. You don't want to get to the tier 4 and tier 5 quests too soon for a variety of reasons. First, they are much more difficult. You'll be facing much tougher zombies and a higher quantity of zombies inside that POI. Second, they take a long time to complete. In the time that it takes to clear out a Shotgun Messiah factory or any of the other tier 5 quests, you could have easily looted 3 or 4 lower level POIs. And that brings me to point 3. Loot is based on your game stage. Since you're in the midpoint of the game, your game stage is not going to be too terribly high, meaning spending all of the time it takes to loot the tier 4 and 5 POIs will not garner you any better loot. So you're dealing with tougher enemies, a lot more enemies, it's going to take you a lot longer, plus you're not going to get any better loot. That's why it is important to pace yourself when it comes to trader quests. Don't rush to get to the tier 4 or tier 5 quests. So instead of accepting a job from a trader, just go out and do some natural looting. Find some lower tier POIs that you can get some decent loot, kill some zombies, get your game stage a little bit higher before you start doing the trader quests again. Another thing to keep in mind is that traders will generally speaking offer you quests at your current tier much more than others. For instance, I am currently on tier 3. And as you see, I have 4 tier 3 quests and only 1 tier 1 quest. The same holds true for tier 4 and tier 5. If I were on tier 5, Trader Bob here would be offering me a whole bunch of tier 5 quests and maybe 1 or 2 tier 1 or 2 quests to choose from. So once you get to the higher tier quests, that's pretty much all you're going to have access to. So take your time and don't rush through the quest tiers. Tip number 8 is weapon and tool mods. Try to get modifications on your weapons and your tools as soon as possible. Now, there are some mods that are better than others. However, any mod is better than no mod. mod. For instance, let's take a look at our pistol. It does 38 range damage. However, if we modify it and we throw on the simple weapon flashlight mod, you'll notice that it boosts our range damage all the way up to 41. Now, in my opinion, the weapon flashlight mod is not one of the greatest mods in the game. However, I would much rather have the mod on my pistol than not have a mod on my pistol, for the simple reason that it will boost your damage. And the same holds true with melee weapons. So we have our baseball bat here. Let's go ahead and modify that with the weighted head mod, and you'll notice we got a boost to our melee damage, power attack damage, and block damage. And the same can be said with our tools. Here we've got a hunter mod. Let's go ahead and put this hunter mod into our fire axe. You'll notice that we gained a significant damage boost by putting the hunter mod on the fire axe. Now, the hunter mod is primarily best for hunting animals. Now, we're not going to be using our iron fire axe to hunt animals. However, just having that mod in the fire axe will boost the damage of that item. So when you come across modifications, go ahead and throw them into your weapons and tools to give yourself that increased damage boost. Tip number 9 is great salvageable items. I've gone ahead and laid out here a few items that you should be on the lookout for when you are out and about salvaging items. First, if you ever need steel, do not overlook the light post. These street lights here can yield forged steel. They are excellent things to break down with either your wrench, your ratchet, or your impact driver. Simply pull up to the top so you can reach and wrench these bad boys down to gain some excellent resources. Next up is broken vending machines. Now, I will warn you, make sure they are broken. If they are not broken and you try to break them down, you will get electrocuted and die. It's really simple to tell whether or not the vending machine is broken. If you can access the vending machine is working. If you cannot access the vending machine, it is broken and safe to salvage. And then we have the destroyed crafting stations. So we have a destroyed workbench, destroyed chemistry station, and a destroyed cement mixer. These 3 items are excellent things to salvage with your wrench, ratchet, or impact driver. As is the table saw. Believe it or not, this little guy will yield some excellent resources. As can the workout equipment like the dumbbells. Each of these items are great for salvage in 7 Days to Die. Tip number 10 is marking looted POIs. Now, the standard loot respawn time in 7 Days to Die is 30 days. That means it takes 30 in-game days for loot to respawn in any POI. However, a lot can happen in that 30 days, and it is very easy to lose track of when you last looted a POI. So if there's a POI that you are looking to loot again in the future, I have a handy-dandy little trick that'll make remembering when that POI will be lootable a whole lot easier. So here we are at our Shotgun Messiah. It is day 36. Now, let's say we went through here and we got a whole bunch of awesome loot from this POI. And we're like, you know what? I want to come back here and try looting this bad boy again. Well, unless we reset this bad boy with a quest, this POI will not be relootable until day 66. And to be honest, folks, I have a hard time remembering what I had for breakfast, let alone what happened 30 days ago. So let me show you a trick on how to mark a POI so you will know when that POI will be relootable. All you want to do is open up your map and zoom in. Get as close to the POI as you can. So here we are here. This is the Shotgun Messiah POI that we are looking to re-loot down the road. Now, all you're going to want to do is save a waypoint. So we're going to click Save Waypoint. We're going to select an icon here. We'll go ahead and select the X. And you're going to want to name that waypoint the day that the loot inside the POI will respawn. So we're going to name this waypoint Day 66 and hit enter. There we go. Now we have a waypoint labeled Day 66. Now we know that on Day 66, we can come back and re-loot this POI. So if there's a POI that has some juicy loot, go ahead and create a waypoint with the day that the loot will respawn. That way you will never be in doubt on when that POI will be re-lootable. Now, if you want to see some more tips and tricks for 7 Days to Die, I've created a very special playlist that you can access by clicking the box in the top right corner of the screen. But for now, this is Saven saying thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me in Saven's World. And remember, the average gamer is always king of the hill on the bell curve.